This video is going to contain spoilers for the movie. If you are a person who has not watched this film yet, this video is not for you. So go save this to your watch later, go watch the movie, and come back. Alright, so, everything that any Spider-Man fan could have wanted happened in this movie. Like the 3 fucking Spider-Men. But before I get to that, I must talk about everything leading up to that point. So the movie starts with us being put into the last scene of No Way Home. Really starting strong with a very stressy, suspenseful, energetic opening. At first, this really made me worried for the pacing of the movie. But I never really got bored and wanted to get up when I desperately needed to piss. The pacing in this movie is actually pretty good. There's never really a quiet moment. After this, Peter gets in trouble with the police and arrested and is in need of a lawyer, which is fucking Matt Murdock, which is bloody awesome because everyone wanted him to be in this movie, and he actually was. My theater literally erupted when they saw his face. Everyone was just screaming and so excited. It's good that he just made a small appearance though and wasn't really a main focus, because I feel as if he should be playing a background role or just to make a small cameo. It's good that he was used just in one scene. And they also teased his powers with his ninja-like reflexes catching that brick. After Peter then ends up going back to school, he can't even go to school without being swarmed by a crowd or having to go through a metal detector to enter school. With being sick of all this shit, he goes to Doctor Strange. Strange then tries to do the spell, but Peter fucks it up by asking for too many requests. So Strange stops it and tells him to go try convince that lady who has high authority at the college, I guess. We then get that bridge scene with Doc Ock where they're fighting because Doc Ock can't remember anything but still thinks he's at that very moment before he changed to a good guy. So when he sees Spider-Man, he's still evil and attacks him. He then finds out that this isn't his Spider-Man. Being controlled now by Peter's nanotech, he's now being transported back to Doctor Strange's basement. He then captures Electro and Sandman. Doctor Strange then tells Peter that they will be transported back to their dimension and die with this box. Learning this, Peter tries to stop Strange and steals the box from him. He does this because he believes everyone deserves a second chance and has some sort of good left in them. Peter ends up besting Strange when they have a fight in the mirror dimension. He steals the ring and the box, leaving Strange trapped in the mirror dimension. Then Peter and all the villains end up going back to Happy's apartment because he has a glorified 3D printer. Peter then fixes Doc Ock's chip in his neck, freeing him from control of his arms. Peter helps the rest. But shit hits the fan when you see that Goblin had actually turned bad once more. I saw this coming. It was pretty obvious when Doc Ock said something along the lines of get rid of your evil other half, and you could just the camera was just kind of like zooming in on the Goblin. It was just kind of like, he's definitely going to change back. So everything turns to shit, all the villains fighting Octavius and Peter with this really cool fight scene between Peter and Goblin. They end up smashing through hotel floors and really just destroying this place while they're fighting. The action in this movie is actually really good and nicely choreographed. It was one of my favorite aspects of the movie. At the end of the fight, Aunt May ends up dying. During this scene, I said to my mate, I don't think they have the balls to kill her off. How wrong I was. I thought this because she didn't actually get stabbed, she kind of just got bonked and just went flying. And she actually stood up and walked over to him, but then she just died. This is when the tone of the movie really changed. Peter went from being so happy to now filled with rage and so vengeful. Unsure of what to do, he ends up running away. Ned and MJ, now trying to find Peter, end up doing that Doctor Strange portal thing on accident. This ends up opening a portal to Spider-Man, but not Tom Holland Spider-Man, but none other than fucking Andrew Garfield. And everyone in my movie theater just screamed and was just so loud cheering. I could tell straight away that this was Andrew though. I could just see the height difference and the size of his eyes. So then we get this really funny exchange between the 3 of them, being so confused on how there's another Spider-Man. And MJ ends up forcing Andrew to have to crawl on the wall and stick to it. Then trying to find another Peter Parker, they open up another portal, but this time it's Tobey Maguire. And everyone was so much louder this time, just screaming and cheering and clapping. It was quite emotional for me to see him too, because I grew up with him being my Spider-Man. And I just think it's so cool that Marvel allowed these two to just have another shot at being Spider-Man. I feel as if this whole scene was handled so well. For the average moviegoer, this scene would have been so ridiculous, but they managed to pull this off so well, using comedy to lighten the tone and mask the silliness around the whole scene. And having them bantering and playing off each other is just so genius, as well as having the grandma there. Plus, it's just really good fan service. They then ask if MCU Peter has a spot that he likes to go to. And we get this really nice, touching scene of all the 3 Spider-Men sharing their trauma and opening up to what they've been through. Trying to sympathize with Tom's Peter and really get him back on track. And then Toby says about how Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. But I think this line would have been so much better if Aunt May didn't say it before. Her line delivery came off so cringy, I feel. It felt so forced. If we heard it from Toby the first time, it would have been so much better. But I really think that Andrew stole this scene. His sheer emotion when he's talking about Gwen, he's such a good actor. It was truly heartbreaking watching him tear up talking about it. And I think it makes everyone sad to see how really wasted he was on those movies. Then Peter accepts that he must help them. Then we get a really cute scene of all 3 Spider-Men bonding in a lab. They then go to the Statue of Liberty to lure all of the villains there, except they don't know that Toby and Andrew are there as well for all of them to face off. Just like I pointed out in the trailer breakdown, I fucking knew it. It was so cool to see all 3 Spider-Men swinging around fighting next to each other. And that all 3 of them were quippy and talking so much shit. Even Toby, the least quippy and most cringe, was even really getting in there. One of my favourite scenes from the movie is where MJ is falling and just as Tom's Peter is about to catch her, he gets taken away by the Goblin. But luckily, just in the nick of time, Andrew is able to catch her. Just like he tried to with Gwen. I like that they included this because it really gives Andrew's Peter that closure and redemption that he needed. It's nice to see these moments being added into the film. Like the joke about, I'm something of a scientist myself, and Toby having organic webs. And Toby saying, ah, my back. A lot of fun moments. Ned opens a portal bringing Strange back. Strange then ends up repairing everything, but before this we get a badass fight scene with Tom vs Goblin, where Tom does this really intimidating stare down. He delivers so many bassy, powerful punches, and just before Tom's about to kill Goblin, Toby stops him. But in doing this, he gets stabbed in the back by Goblin, literally. I actually thought they were going to kill him off, and I would have been so sad and mad if they did. And basically, the movie ends with Peter asking that everyone forgets in his life who Peter Parker is. And Strange says, are you sure you want to do this? And Peter then says yes. And they really wanted to show you how much Strange actually respects Peter. We get such a heart-touching moment with MJ and Peter where she tells him she loves him and wants him not to say it now, but actually when they meet again. And this really got me in my feels and made me tear up a bit. Then everything goes back to normal and we get this really sad scene of Peter rehearsing how he's going to reintroduce himself to MJ and Ned. But I guess he didn't because he saw how normal their lives are without him. And just how safe and secure they are in their own lives without knowing that Peter's Spider-Man. And I guess he decided for now that it's better this way. This shows that Peter has matured and is growing up and learning to be responsible rather than selfish, which got him in this mess in the first place. Peter then ends up at Aunt May's grave and sees Happy there, who doesn't remember him at all. They have a really nice moment talking about how this reminds him of Tony. Peter then moves into an apartment which looks oddly similar to the one that Toby used to live in Spider-Man 2 and 3. He then makes his own suit and we get that one last final swing. This suit is definitely a homage to his 2 Spider-Man mentors before him. My final thoughts are this is an amazing movie and they really nailed in every point they were trying to hit. It was a hilarious movie with some really big stakes. They also weren't scared to do what needed to be done and had the balls to pull it off, such as killing Aunt May. Without killing her off, this movie wouldn't have been as good. Because then he wouldn't have been so revenge-fueled and needed to seek the guidance that he got from Toby and Andrew. It made sense as to why they were there, as they filled a purpose and weren't there just for fan service. They guided and helped him to find his way. And they finally made consequences for Spider-Man, something that they were lacking in before. None of the Avengers are going to remember saving half the universe with them. No more friends, no more Avengers, and no more MJ or Aunt May. They actually found a way around the whole Tony funding Spider-Man shit. And that, how is some nobody gonna have access to his tech and money? I'm excited to see what they do with this character in the future, as now he's about to enter college and is the oldest Spider-Man I've been waiting for, with none of this cringe high school shit. I give this movie a 10 out of 10. I see no flaws as of yet, but I'll have to watch it another time to see how my opinion differs. What did you think of the movie? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments down below.